welcome to the weekend grill. Well, the round that's just left us, we're left with more questions than answers, and here we are to have discussed with us a familiar face that everyone will recognise, Paul Sebastiani.
Hello.
How you going?
I'm very well, mate. Very well. Work's great. Life's great. The baggers are up and about, mate. Everyone's happy.
What could possibly go wrong?
It's the first time, I think. Is this the first time we've had Carlton Apparel on the show?
Or potentially,
Okay. I
yeah.
think it's the right time for it too.
Well, no, look, we appreciate you giving up your time.
Thank you.
You know, with all the commitments, Jumper Punch's very own, Blue Abroad's very own,
Yes.
SEN's very own.
Doesn't end.
So thank you for your time and for filling in
Thank
for Paul
you.
Italiano, who unfortunately is unavailable today, but
Yes.
we'll be back next week. We're going to get into it. What's on the show today, Paul? We're going to speak about the weekend results.
Woo!
Yeah, so again,
Huge.
a consequential week of results, and I'm glad that you're here to discuss it. One of the better judges in the game, so we're going to get into that. We've got a segment going called the September Run, which I'm sure you'll be very familiar with.
I know that name.
Yeah.
September
Very
Run for
good
Chris
horse.
Waller. Very good
It's
horse.
getting hot, so there's 3 rounds to go, Paul.
Yes.
And look, we hoping that you can give us some clarity as to who's going to make it and who's not. Obviously, they're all, it's hard to sort of have a guess, I suppose.
It is,
but
isn't it?
I think your guess is very educated, so we'll
Thank
get your
you.
opinion on that. Who's cooking's back? You got your top 5 players and top teams for me?
Yep, I
Good
do
man.
indeed. There's plenty going
Beautiful. And we'll go and do a round 22 preview, a bit more of an in-depth preview. One of our viewers wasn't happy, and look, and rightfully so. We'll get your tips and your analysis on the preview for
Absolutely.
round 22. But look, let's get into it. So the weekend results, Paul.
Yes.
Friday night at Marvel Stadium, Bulldogs took care of Richmond very well. Now, initially, obviously, I've seen the team selection on the Thursday, and very easy to question like what Richmond are doing, resting Dustin Martin and Trent Cotchin. But based on how the game panned out, I'm not sure it would have changed the result.
No, it
How
wouldn't have.
did you see it?
It may have to a certain point. Instead of it being 8 goals and 9 goals, it might have been 5 goals, 6 goals. You knew the result after 10 minutes in that game.
Yeah.
Actually, no, you knew the result via team selection.
I question the team selection of Richmond.
It was funny that they
very
managed
interesting.
those blokes when, I think they kind of know that it's kind of done this season. So Richmond's finished.
So can we just quickly on that game? Can we ask a question out loud? What was going through their minds resting 2 of their leaders? We'll put it that way. One of them is still in their top 5 best players. The other one in Trent Cotchin's is still an integral part to the team. What's the thought process by resting 2 of those players in a game that is so consequential and that they essentially needed to win to keep their finals hopes alive?
I'm not even going to try to guess because I've got no idea. I've actually got no idea why they would
Is
do
that a bit strange?
Unless they were very, very sore. Because there's no reason for that. Like, look at their run home, I know, well, they're done. They can't make finals. Maybe they realise that. They got the Saints, which is a winnable game. They got North Melbourne, which is a winnable game.
Yep.
And they've got, who do they have in the last round? And they've got Port, which is, they'll start outsiders in that game. But why wouldn't they? And the Doggies are hot and cold. I don't know.
How did you see the Dogs?
Man, they were okay.
I can't get a read on
They
it.
were okay. They're hot and cold.
Is that it?
Untrustworthy.
They were okay. Is that
Yeah,
it?
they were.
Really?
Yeah, they were okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they were okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't against that Richmond team. Richmond, even with those blokes in, I still expected the Bulldogs to win. If Richmond hadn't have dropped, not dropped, managed.
So
Dusty
does it
and
say
Koch.
more? Just quickly, on this, do you, in your opinion, does it say more about the ball? Like, did you get a better guide to the Bulldogs?
The Bulldogs didn't elevate in my rankings,
Sure.
and Richmond didn't come down in my rankings. Yeah, I expected the Bulldogs
so
to
it was
win comfortably.
a general truce.
Yeah, exactly. General truce.
You know
yeah,
that.
one up the straight. Did.
All right. Well, look, we'll move on. We'll go to the Saturday Arvo game, which I think most of the majority of the AFL world would have presumed that it was going to be a walk in the park for Essendon.
$1.05.
West Coast put up a big enough
Should
fight
have won.
here.
Should have won.
Have you seen some of the talk that's come out of the game?
I haven't.
So Footy Classified
What was it?
last
What'd they
night,
say?
which I love, and
You
big
do?
shout out to
Yes.
Luca Urso who runs point over there. The great man.
Does, yes.
And on Footy Classified last night, they were insinuating that perhaps West Coast were trying to not win the game. by not putting by.
Yeah, but even if they didn't not win that game, well, how can they? Oh, they can go ahead of North Melbourne if they do win that game.
Well, they didn't. They failed. They failed to put.
Okay.
They failed to put a man behind the ball in the last minute and a half. You buy into it?
A little. Yeah.
So the question then arises: is that a form of tanking? It brings up a whole integrity issue here. So
yeah, there are integrity issues around that because of the way the draft is. The draft picks are enabled and given out, which then deems a question over should there be a lottery like they do in the NBA. I think there should be.
I reckon there should be too. Just on Essendon, whether you watched the game or not, I'm sure you would have seen the highlights.
Yep.
I was watching it and I'm not.
No, they're cool.
I'm not entirely happy with what I saw.
No, they're rubbish, mate.
I know they have, their ruckman out.
Yeah.
They have an energetic forward in Jake Stringer out. They have their best defender in Jordan Ridley out. I understand that.
Is that enough to only win by a point against West Coast?
Well, there's no doubt that it was a spirited performance from the West Coast Eagles. I think this game was a classic example of who wanted to be there and who didn't want to be there. Like, Essendon
Oh,
did
if you're
not
5% off, as you said, I know
Yeah.
it's becoming a cliche in football, but if you're 5% off, you'll get beaten.
Yeah. Okay.
You will get beaten. Look, they got away with one, but they'll probably win next week against North Melbourne, which we'll get onto later.
Yep.
But they won't win their last two. So
Fair enough.
They
okay.
can't make the out.
Big call there from
Put it
Paul.
that
He's
way.
probably accurate. He's one of the better judges that I know.
I hope so.
Adelaide versus Gold Coast at Adelaide Oval. Crows done a number by 28 points on
Good
the
win.
Suns.
Strong win
Yeah.
by Adelaide.
Did you get a chance to watch some of this?
Watch the highlights.
Yep.
Strong win. Fuck, how good's Taylor Walker? He's such a good player. He's so good. That could have been a banana skin game for Adelaide,
Yep.
whose form has just dipped away slightly the last month. But they picked it up against Melbourne at the G with an impressive performance. That win there, that's enough to fuel, I think, the rest of their season, Adelaide. And they've got some very, very, very winnable games in there.
Which we will get onto.
Yeah.
Now, so 4:30 p.m. on Saturday afternoon at the MCG. I was really looking forward to the game. Hawthorn versus Collingwood. I was looking forward to the game on multiple fronts. Firstly, you're well aware that I have a massive opinion on Hawthorn.
Yes.
Secondly, I want to see what Collingwood do to bounce back after their loss to Carlton last Friday night on 28th of July.
Yes.
How did you see the game here? And also,
All right.
and also the
Yes.
the ramifications to come out of it.
I'm glad you asked me about this, actually,
Yeah.
because I've got a very strong opinion on this game.
Sure.
Collingwood played this so stupidly. You don't physically try to go with Hawthorn. That's one thing that Sam Mitchell's just got over those developing teams, in that maybe like bottom 4 to bottom 5 rung. Physically, they're a big team. Collingwood are not. If you actually look, and saying this when I did the preview for the Collingwood-Carlton game with work, if you look at Carlton and Collingwood's midfield, and Carlton has bigger bodies. Physically, they are bigger. Collingwood's team, if you look at Collingwood's midfield, their only real bull is probably Adams from a size point of view. Like, the go is not massive.
Is this
strongish.
in their midfield?
Yeah,
Okay.
like strongish. Pendlebury's not huge. Who else runs through there?
Pendlebury isn't a midfielder anymore.
And Cameron's not massive. He's tall, but he's not strong, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Who else have they got running through there? Like, there aren't massive bodies, if that makes sense.
Right.
When Hawthorn started going, when Collingwood tried to start to match Hawthorn physically and try to get up in their faces, when there was a little bit of argy-bargy, and perfect for Hawthorn. That's the way Sam Mitchell always wanted to play. Sam Mitchell was never a fast mover. He just got you physically and by smarts. And the way that they played their diagonal ball as well out of their back half was fantastic, and their tackle pressure was just phenomenal too. And I think you get 2 for the price of 1. When you go after one Daicos, brother, you get the other one, because the other one's going to just too much pride, too much ego. They just want to go back and help their mate out. And I understand that. Like, that's
Their mate, it's his brother.
You've got to back your literal brother up, of course. And I understand that. But look, am I worried about Collingwood? I am now. With Daicos out, not just him. I think the more important out is Nathan Murphy, because he allows Darcy Moore to do what he can do, and I think he's an enormous out. And I must admit, listening to Luke Hodge yesterday, he did say you don't ever want to peak too early, and you don't want to be playing your best football too early in the season, because teams find you out. They looked rattled against Carlton, and they looked worse. against Hawthorn. They were not great. They were not great. Credit to Hawthorn. They were very good. But at this time of the year, you don't want to be dipping. You want to be at least plateauing and then starting to climb. Like, this should have been a win for Collingwood. And they've got no excuses over the next. Like, then don't think that, they're getting ready to peak at the right time and they had a getting ready to peak at the right time is now. You should be you should be on your way up. And they're not. So, big worries. And now they miss Nick Daicos, who I don't think is going to play another game for the year.
Well, that's a very, very big call because
you saw what he had to say.
We discussed this prior to arriving to recording this. I just want to firstly say I think this is going to be one of the biggest atrocities in AFL sport history if Nick Daicos does not win the Brownlow this year due to him not being able to play the last 3 games.
Why is that?
Why? I'll tell you why. This guy is 20 years old, okay? I heard him speak yesterday on his crutches in front of the media, and honestly, Paul, I almost cried. You know my disregard.
Well, his still shots look like he was depressed.
And my hate for Collingwood fans. But this player, Nick Daicos, he's a reason why a lot of us would go out of our way to watch.
Yeah. Nothing but admiration for the young man.
He stated in that press conference yesterday, don't paraphrase me here, but something along the lines of, I felt a niggle against Port Adelaide, which was 2 weeks ago.
In his knee.
My question is, what are you doing playing this kid if he is sore? What are you doing? I would be absolutely irate. Now, I understand he's a kid. He's enthusiastic. He's probably a football junkie.
Yeah.
He probably loves the game that much where he just wants to go out and give his best, like all kids do. But the facts of the matter are, you're a 20-year-old, and if you have a little niggle, you cannot take any risks. If the viewers out there get a chance to watch that press conference he did, you'll see for yourself that he felt a niggle, or he said that, he felt a little niggle against Port Adelaide. And the moment I heard that, I go, this cannot be a mismanagement. If this kid does not win the Brownlow medal, and let's make it clear, not taking anything away from whoever does win it, whether that may be the other 2 threats to him, which are obviously Marcus Bontempelli and Christian Petrarca.
Sounds like a Bradbury job.
But the facts of the matter are, if this guy is going to be 5 or 6 votes ahead with 3 games to go, and it gets pinched off him because he's missed through injury, this is going to be one of the biggest atrocities and tragedies I've ever seen.
So what about?
And I don't even have money on him. Let's put it. I have not bet.
Well, what about Collingwood from a team point of view?
From a team point of view, I do agree with you what you said. Nathan Murphy's a massive out.
Huge.
So Jeremy Howe has to sacrifice doing his role. Their experiment, and their forward line isn't going as good, so their experiment of putting Howe up forward now is cast. They're going to have to bring in Billy Frampton, which isn't he has proven this year that he can do a job.
He's legless.
Nah, come on, give him a chance. I think in the games that I've seen him, Billy Frampton, he can do a job.
He's been okay.
Yeah, but he can do a job, which is what all their defenders are. Nathan Murphy isn't a star. Nathan Murphy's a job doer.
Yep.
But the role that Nathan Murphy does and what he allows his teammates to do around him,
I agree with that.
Is so significant. I'll be honest. This is reflected later on in our Who's Cooking segment.
Yes.
I feel, and I do agree with you, that Nick Daicos, from his body language and what I heard and what I saw in his press conference yesterday, he will not play another game for the rest of the year.
I don't think he will. No, I don't think he will either.
I can see it. Paul, you look at when you look, you have that look in your eye, and you can look someone else and you go, you know what, you are done. And I'm actually sad. I don't go for Collingwood. We all know that. But I love this kid, and I will go out of my way to watch him play. I'm absolutely upset. I can't believe this.
So there's probably two. there's probably 2 schools of thought with this.
Yep.
Is that one? You've got a strength and conditioning and high performance department that analyse these things by the millisecond and to the absolute
If Paul,
Up 10th
Paul if
degree.
he's had a niggle, you cannot risk this guy.
This is the thing.
I can't
So-
believe it. It's not. I'm not irate for no reason.
No, of course,
This is
of
just
course.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I'm shocked.
There's two trains of thought with it. It's, okay, well, the SNC guys look at it and you would suspect that they're competent enough to say, okay, well, it's something we've seen people play through all the time, so you can play through it, he's fine.
Why would they?
And that's the other train of thought. The other school of thought is, okay, well, you're 2 games clear up the top of the ladder.
So they're trying to get him to the Brownlow?
But give the kid a rest.
I agree.
But Craig McRae, and this is probably paraphrasing him, he said that he didn't want to, he wasn't going to rest anyone.
Yeah.
And he hasn't. He hasn't
Maynard
managed anyone.
Maynard and my check had a couple of weeks off about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think my checks was a genuine hamstring niggle, and Maynard's was the shoulder, which you saw. But
if we're going to make the point about playing through sore, then I mean I do think they have rested certain players at certain times.
Yeah.
But what do you think moving forward? So just before we wrap up on this game, is it a mismanagement from Collingwood? 1, can they bounce back? 2,
Yeah, they can bounce back.
Tell us, Paul.
They can bounce back.
Give
but
the Pies fans something.
But the problem is when you're trying to wrestle back momentum at this time of the year, it's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do. And
Yep.
then when you've got dominoes that have fallen, it's not as though that they're trying to, it's, okay, well, we got away with one, we still won. We know this person's coming back. We're in a form slump. We've just lost our best player. We've lost an important defensive cog. What are we going to do?
Well, you wait to see what when we do our round 22 preview. You'll be shocked to hear that. You'll see who I'm tipping in that game.
There you go.
But in all seriousness, like, we're not trying to hear speak about Collingwood Football Club like it's their funeral.
Call it as you see it, though.
Call it as you see it. The facts of the matter are,
Could be.
their best player is going to miss, they say, 6 weeks. I call BS. I don't think you'll play another game for 2023.
Well, even if he does miss 6 weeks, it gets him to semi-final.
It gets into the 16th of September, which is semi-final. It's hypothetically that they win their qualifying final, which who knows now what they're going to do.
Let's just say, forget about Daicos, right? Even with him in the team, their numbers have dwindled away.
Sure.
Ground ball gets have dwindled away.
Yeah.
Their contested ball, which they bought Tom Mitchell in for, they got obliterated by Carlton. Did you see the centre clearance numbers against Hawthorn?
Yeah.
18-3.
That's unheard of.
They
But
were obliterated.
No, but hang on. Around the ground, it was 33-16 Collingwood's way. I'm pretty sure I heard Jared say.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
I know it
still.
does even out, but God, mate, to get minus 15 at centre clearances,
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
That's unheard of.
That's
mate.
embarrassing.
With that, and this is what I was saying. That midfield.
Is it a hunger thing? Are they too laconic?
I don't know.
Are they too laconic? Let's ask you the question.
The warning signs are going off for me. The warning signs are going off for me.
All right. Well, nevertheless, good win by the Hawks. They showed us a glimpse as to what
He's a
they
gun
can
coach,
do.
Sam
I
Mitchell.
completely agree.
He's a gun coach.
I've been waxing lyrical about
He'll be
this
their
guy.
next premiership coach, I think. Or he'll be the man
Agreed.
that's going to get them
And
close.
the Sis, their captain.
Champion.
Fuck, he's a good player.
It's champion. Star.
GM HBA Stadium Saturday night, Paul. A game that Geelong had to win
Yes.
against, let's be fair, a very depleted Port
Very
Adelaide
depleted.
side. And Geelong had their fair share of outs.
They did.
Which they have had the whole year. They've been managing, they've been managing their games
Been a lot of
very choppy and changing. So
a lot of chopping and changing.
How'd you see it?
I thought Port were very good. I thought they were very good. I know they lost, but they'll bounce back next week. I think they'll hopefully get a couple back, and I know they've been in a bit of a slump, Port, but I think
That's
they
4
can.
in a row now.
It is, but I think looking at their fixture, I think they're the ones that, just given the fixture that they've got coming up, they can wrestle back some momentum. Difficult to do. Yeah, Geelong,
good.
Geelong, good.
You happy with that?
Strong. Yeah,
I'm going to pose a question to you.
Strong enough.
In September
Strong.
round. You know what it's going to be. I'm going to ask you if
yes,
we're going to discuss it.
Which we will get to.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to the Battle of the Bridge, the Sydney Derby. I mean, they don't even want to know it as a derby. Both those sides they're doing wonders for the AFL, trying to talk it up.
Yes, they are.
But the Sydney Swans triumphed over GWS, who
Fantastic win
had
by
won
Sydney.
7 in a row, and the Swannies.
Fantastic win by the
Swannies
Swans.
done the job on them, which broke their record, and also in the process keeping their season alive.
Yep, and I think their season is well and truly alive as well. They have a few little banana peel games coming up to the Sydney Swans. I was very impressed with, and I'll mention him, Goulden. Obviously, he's the pick, but the way Sydney's forward line operated without Buddy Franklin, I think they're just and he's retired obviously, but I just think they look much better and much more fluid.
I think
with
in,
him
I think in the evidence
out of the
that I think
team.
in the evidence that we had, Paul, even when Buddy was still active on their list but was not available due to injury or whatever reason, I reckon they have too.
McLean and Amadi get free reign. Pappy
you're very close with a passionate and a very knowledgeable Sydney supporter up in Aubrey.
He thinks they're shot.
He
thinks they're absolutely shot.
What's the dialogue between both of you regarding the Sydney Swans?
Thinks Errol Goulden's the next big thing. Well, not the next big thing. He is the big thing at Sydney at the moment, even though he's small in stature. He's a very small man. This was a handy win. It was a big win for Carlton that GWS lost. I give you the tip. That's why I was watching this game with a lot of intrigue.
Yeah.
But this was a game where I looked at it and thought, well, Sydney, that straight kicking that they had in the first half. Yep. I mean, did it keep them in the game? Well, it's ultimately probably won them the game. But there were a few statistical anomalies in that game where you saw GWS had so much front half ball. GWS had a lot of the clearances. GWS had a lot of the inside 50s. But the only reason that was an anomaly was because every time Sydney went forward, they kick a goal. You're back to the centre.
Okay.
So it looked like, GWS first half, it's a statistical smashing. But if you actually look at it in context, Sydney were just so efficient moving the ball forward. And it's the argument between looking at it properly and saying, okay, did GWS actually dominate gameplay and they just didn't take the most of their opportunities, or was Sydney just that good in front of goal? And that's what's happened there. So the statistical anomaly in the first half and throughout the game was not a reflection on how good the Giants might or have potentially been in that game. I think it was just a case of that's just the way it panned out. And I actually think Sydney are a better team than the Giants, personally. But
I reckon it's a good reflection. I think this is literally the 7th and 8th or 8th and 9th team in the comp.
Yeah,
so I'm not too deterred off the Giants. I'm still big on the Giants. I love
I like
what
their
they're
coach.
doing.
Like their coach.
What do you just quickly before we move on from that game? GWS, obviously, you suspected they were due for a loss at some stage. I mean, we don't like sort of wanting. I mean, you could say the same thing about Carlton, really, but. Did you see anything there that may have led you to believe that GWS, there was a bit of a chink there? There was something there that you didn't like?
Just
were they off?
Experience. They've got a few players there that are still a bit wet behind the ears. So they had last year and the year before, they had that moment where, so Cameron left, they got all these picks in, they lost a little bit of experience in that forward line.
Callaghan's and all that.
They lost these players and, who else did they lose? Tanner Bruin, who's, I'll tell you this, I reckon he's going to be a very good footballer, that kid.
Geelong, how do they do it?
So they lost him, and they've had to revamp and rejig a few things as well. So there were going to be a few bumps along the way. I'm surprised that they ended up winning. Well, they win 7 in a row. I was surprised actually.
They answered every question. They were answering every call.
Great run, absolutely great run. They'll still make. I think they can still make the 8. We'll get onto that in a little while, but I don't think this is a. Sydney are a bloody good football team.
Completely agree.
I don't care what anyone says. I know they've had some real mitigating circumstances this year around injury and it was a good win by the Sydney Swans. Yeah, I think Sydney just move up in the rankings for me a little bit, but I'm not off put by what the Giants did.
No,
not at all.
Okay,
not at all.
Well, we're going to go on to Sunday, where at Blundstone Arena here, where Melbourne were handed a bit of a scare early in the game.
There was a shock brewing early in this one, I tell you what, mate.
North are up by...
Goodness me, watching the live scores on this.
5 goals at one stage. You know Melbourne got out to even money? Melbourne got even money. Like, started the second, or halfway through the second quarter, which was ridiculous.
Someone was saying there was a breeze at the ground. Was that right?
I mean, it's Tasmania.
Yeah, that makes
Well,
sense.
Cozzy's had 14 touches, but I can tell you now, that's probably one of the best most dangerous and lethal 14 touch games you'll ever see. Yep, Max Gawn is doing Max Gawn things. Melbourne do come out with an injury to Harrison Petty, which is no good.
Big injury.
Considering he seemed to be their answer to their forward line.
He did.
And Melbourne in the last 4, they're just starting to string a couple of games together. They've won 4 in a row or 5 in a row. And I think a lot of credit has to go to Simon Goodwin. I understand a lot of people want to give Michael Voss and Carlton a lot of credit, which is very true. But the other hot team at the moment are the Demons, and Simon Goodwin has moved his pawns around on the chessboard, and
he had to.
He's got everyone else is playing checkers, and this guy is just miles ahead. Like every rein he has pulled in the last 4 or 5 weeks has worked wonders, and just that Harrison Petty injury. I've no doubt that Melbourne have another ace up their sleeve, but it does throw a spanner in the works. He's a target for them, and he kicks. He can kick straight for a team that's suffered that throughout the year. Paul has struggled with accuracy. He's done them wonders, and
straightens them up.
He does. Them up. What do you think? What do you think of the game? Not much to say. Like, I mean, we don't have to spend too much time.
North was all right.
Yep.
North was all right. Might have been that interim coach feel with Clarko coming back. His first game back.
Possibly.
Might have been a bit of that as well. I think Melbourne are just at this stage where, again, they were just the team that it just snuck under the radar beautifully. And all of a sudden, you look at they've won 5 in a row and they're second favourite for the flag.
Melbourne is a team that does get under the guard of a lot of people.
Ready to peak at the right time. Ready to
Can't
peak at the right time.
Can't say the same about other clubs.
Yeah, exactly.
Sunday afternoon, Marvel Stadium.
Big game.
This was a big game and it lived up to the expectation. St Kilda versus Carlton. Carlton got the job done by 19 points.
Did they ever?
You were there, Paul. You would have
there.
seen what happened. Give us your rundown just quickly.
Very impressed by Carlton. St Kilda was there to stifle. It seems like they were there to, you say they were there to not win. It seems like they were there to stop the Blues rather than impose their will on Carlton. Albeit I thought their pressure in the first half was actually quite strong. But this game played out as I thought it would. St Kilda, high possession-based team in their defensive half, which I thought was really going to fuel Carlton's game. It did to a certain point because Carlton love a front-half turnover. They didn't score. I think they only scored about 7 points from front-half turnovers, but it was that midfield line which really held firm on defensive press, and their transition game was strong and their clearances. Oh, God. The midfield obliterated St Kilda. Absolutely obliterated them. And there were a few. Crouch at Steele had the edge on Cripps for a couple of games. Carlton's midfield was depleted, obviously with Walsh and Chera out as well. Kennedy, I think Hewitt is a better midfielder than Kennedy. That's just my opinion, and I think he's better defensively than Hewitt. And I think he's better defensively than Kennedy.
Yep.
And I think he helps us structure. I think us. It is us. He helps Carlton structure up better around the ball.
Yep.
And I think that's what you saw come to the fore. Structure.
Well, Cripps had 11 clearances.
Yeah, he was great. Cripps was the facilitator.
Carlton in the second half had 22-8 clearances.
He has been the facilitator for Carlton in this 7-week patch where he hasn't had to go out and do
Superman things.
You don't need that off a guy like that anymore. So very, very impressive. Defensively strong in that second half as well. And just they were a bit fumbly early, the Blues. They had it on their terms in the first quarter, and St Kilda took their opportunity in the second quarter when they hit back. And then Carlton just systematically broke them down in that second half, which was so impressive.
Well, systematically broke them down, I think, as you mentioned, Paul, is a big tick to Michael Voss.
Massive.
And his coaching ranks. I thought Sunday's game, quickly, just to sum up what you said, it was a very good tactical battle.
Yep.
Carlton were challenged in a different way. They came out on top, and I think that's to not underselling that win by them on Sunday. That given the circumstances and their personnel that they had out, it'd be very easy to make excuses.
Yeah.
Carlton's attitude shift and culture shift is
massive.
Next man up mentality. There is no excuses here, and fair play to them. I thought it was a very good watch if you're a Carlton fan.
Couple of numbers I wanted to mention, just reeling back to how the game played out. Now, as a
give us the numbers. We love our numbers, mate. Come on.
As a football team, as a premiership contender, obviously it's no shot. You want the ball played in your front half.
Sure.
For the majority of the game, you want time in forward half to be spiked up, right? Obviously, the closer you are to goal, the more likely you are to kick more goals. That's just how it is. It's just basic maths. But looking at some numbers here, so Carlton had 54% of their possession in the defensive half and obviously 46% in their forward half. St Kilda had 67% of their possession in the back half. That's a stark contrast. You can't, and
the numbers aren't lying.
And if you don't have a team like St Kilda, don't have stars in that team that are able to move the ball the way that. But this is just the way Ross Lyon has set them up.
Yeah,
right. And the way Carlton has added layers to their team throughout the season has meant they can, 1, score from front half turnover.
Yep.
2, they can score on transition from half back in the back half, which is built and built and built. And 3, they've got their one wood back, which is scores from stoppages and clearances.
41, 6 goals, 5 they kicked.
If you cannot break even with Carlton at clearance numbers, you're going down a path that's just going to be detrimental to your result, basically. So
Good. I like it. We've got
That's
to move
why
on.
I was not too. I don't think many were too worried at 3/4 time when it started ebbing back in their
Yeah,
favour.
I think we spoke at 3.
Big win.
We liaised with each other 3/4 time. I don't think Carlton ever looked like losing the game at 3/4 time.
No.
But given the way they came back, it was very good job done.
A lot
to
of the
Blues.
lesser lights,
Yeah.
popping their names up.
That's what you want to see.
Akers, Newman, Fisher.
Your middle and bottom 6
Down.
players. Although I don't think Akers is in the middle 6. I think he's been elite.
He's been good.
We've got to move on,
very
Paul. We've got to go
strong.
to
We do.
Fremantle and Brisbane. Last game of the round. I didn't watch a lot of this game. Obviously, watching the Carlton game. Brisbane got the job done. From what I saw, Joe Danaher came up pretty big.
He was
couple
good.
Of, couple of clutch moments there. Lockie Neal seemed like he was tagged out
He
of the
was
game.
for second week in a row now.
So I suppose it's also. I mean, to be fair, it's a very hard trip to go from Brisbane all the way to Perth.
Not easy.
It's not easy for anyone. So I reckon that's another tick to Brisbane's name.
I completely agree.
I mean, no, just not taking anything away from Fremantle, but look, I think it's a big tick to Brisbane's name.
And they had two of their prime ball movers down. Dunkley was down on numbers. Neil was down on numbers. I was really impressed with Jared Berry's performance. I thought he stepped up in the absence of those two blokes having less of an impact. And disappointed in Pearce from Fremantle. Didn't think he was great either. He had some
Captain,
nice
Alex
moments.
Pearce.
Yeah, he had some icky moments.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that was round 21. Just quickly before we move on to our September run, you've had a chance to look at the round 24 fixture that got released. So just to confirm, has been confirmed Friday night, Collingwood v Essendon.
Yep.
That's going to be a big game. Hawthorn Fremantle Saturday.
Huge.
Gold Coast North Melbourne. Brisbane v St Kilda Twilight. Now, St Kilda might be in a position where they're still playing for a finals position, which we'll discuss.
Good luck.
Now, Geelong and Bulldogs at GMHBA is going to be the Saturday night. That's another big game. Not going to be doing anything on that Saturday night. Then we have Port v Richmond. Port, depending on how the year goes, like that is another big game. Sydney v Melbourne, I think, is the one. Like,
Massive.
Sydney could be playing to make
Final
top 8.
spot.
And then you got the last game of the round. They had to do it. It was Carlton GWS where, I mean, look, Carlton are no certainties to make. I mean, I know they're 5th on the ladder, but the reality is they're only 6 points ahead of 9th. So they still need to win a couple of games. And GWS, well,
No easy
they might be playing for a spot in the finals.
They could very well
but
be.
yeah, that's the round 24 fixture. We're going to move on to September run. Now, what we'll do, we'll put up the ladder there for the viewers at home, which they'll be able to see now. So we got Collingwood 64, Melbourne 56, Brisbane, Port Adelaide all on 56. And then you got the Blues that create that bit of separation in 5th position on 46 points. Then you got a cluster here of 3 teams: Bulldogs, St Kilda, and Giants on 44. And to be honest, their percentage isn't that great. The 2 teams underneath them, outside the 8, Geelong and Sydney, have better percentage than 6th, 7th, and 8th position. They're only 2 points behind. And then we got obviously the Crows, Essendon, and Richmond, who I think the bottom 2 are done. Richmond and Essendon, that is.
Yep.
We'll go on to the Excel sheet that you'll see now in front of you. Well, you should have, Paul. I sent you the round 22 to 23 fixturing.
Yes.
And
what a race.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the 2 teams I've locked in for home finals.
Yep.
Carlton.
Confident already.
Yeah, bloody oath. Mate, put your neck on the line, mate. Carlton and Western Bulldogs. I don't know if it'll be 5th and 6th. They'll toss and turn that. I don't know what it's going to be.
Carlton could be 6.
Yes,
Bulldogs. Yep.
whatever it is, it'll be.
Yep.
I think that's how
playing an elimination final at the MCG.
Yes, so the Bulldogs and Carlton will be the home final in the elimination, and then the rest of the 8. I think it'll be mixed up between. I think the only 3 teams that can do it. I had GWS and I had Adelaide sneaking into the 8. I think they've got a nice little run coming up.
So you suggesting that Geelong perhaps don't make it?
Yes, correct.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And you'll see with
Sydney don't make it.
Week. No. That Adelaide Sydney game is going to be huge.
Do you know what round it is?
Round 22.
23.
Is it round 23 or round 20? Oh, yeah, sorry, the second last round. Sorry, yes,
wow.
correct. Yep.
And then Sydney's got Melbourne.
Yep.
Which we discussed. 320 SCG.
That's what I mean. Sydney dropped those last 2 games. Adelaide pick up the ones that they need to. And Adelaide I'm going confidently with because they've flipped. They got that good win against they were good against Melbourne at the G. They got that good win against Gold Coast.
This is big for them, which we'll move on to when we do the preview a bit later. But their game that Adelaide's got against the Lions away, they have to win a game like this.
They can.
Oh, I'm not saying they can't.
Yeah, they
I
can.
just think, given the line, like
But if they beat Brisbane this weekend, they'll make the
they'll
8.
make the 8. Yeah, look, I think it's pretty easy. I think that's a very fair assessment.
Yeah.
So St Kilda there, you can see is sitting in 7th. Their run homes is Geelong, Richmond, Geelong, and the Lions away. Looks increasingly unlikely that they're going to feature in the finals.
I get an inkling it's going to be Carlton Adelaide elimination final like it was in 2000.
Yep.
Last time
Jimmy
Carlton
Plunkett
won these
kicked the goal.
games in a row. He did, yes. And
2001, wasn't it? And then it was 2001, and then we ended up versing Richmond.
Yes.
And Kuda did his knee in the
I hope
semi-final.
nothing like that happens, God.
And then Richmond went up to Brisbane and got done to Brisbane, and we know what happened after that.
They won the flag.
Lifted the trophy and blah, blah, blah. But do you see us, do you see Carlton versing Adelaide? So that would mean you have Adelaide finishing 7th or 8th.
Correct.
Interesting. So hypothetically, does your assessment change or does your opinion change if Brisbane beat Adelaide this week?
No.
Do you still think Adelaide will win their last 2 games?
Yep.
I mean, they're going to beat the
Beat
Eagles.
Sydney and then they'll beat the Eagles. Yeah. They get a big
and that gets them in the 8.
Yeah, percentage whack against, that's where, so that 2% that they've got against Geelong, right?
Yep.
I think Geelong will win 2. I think Adelaide will win 2. And
Adelaide's
I think
percentage is 2.1.
That's correct.
117.1.
Yes, but that win that they'll have against West Coast
will bump them up.
is what will
Okay.
That's what'll score. I think Geelong will drop 2 games.
Just quickly, Essendon cast.
Yeah, forget about
12th
Essendon. Yeah, forget about Essendon.
40 points. Kangaroos, I mean,
Whatever.
There are no certainties.
They're not winning their last 2 games. They're not beating the Giants and they're not beating Collingwood. No, not the way they're going.
Okay. I think we'll move on from September run. We're going to go on to who's cooking, mate.
Yep.
There might be a few changes this week, which Paul Italiano is probably not going to be happy watching this.
I don't think there's many Collingwood supporters that'd be happy watching this.
But look, I'm going to get you. I need your top 5 players. Top 5 teams.
Okay,
Paul Sebastiani, please.
Melbourne, Collingwood. I can't believe I'm saying this. Carlton, Brisbane, Port.
Mate, that's fair. I'm not arguing. It's hard to mount an argument.
Call it as you see it.
As to who is. Give me a team aside from Melbourne and Brisbane at the moment that are playing better than Carlton.
No one.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
My top 5 teams. Melbourne, they've displaced Collingwood at number 1, and I think that's fair. I don't think any Collingwood supporter can argue that.
Nope.
Collingwood number 2, Brisbane number 3, Carlton are the 4th best team in the comp, and Geelong, in my opinion, at the moment.
Still.
Yeah, man. No, they've gone in and out.
Yeah,
they've gone in and out.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, I like it.
It was a tough one between the Bulldogs, but my only concern is with the Bulldogs is I'm not sold on them, and I'm not sold on GWS. I love what they're both doing. I just think Geelong
topsy turvy.
If Geelong do what they can do, and I know the time we're speaking on hypotheticals, but Geelong's a better team than the other 2 teams.
I agree with that.
Can I have your top 5 players?
You can. Marcus Bontempelli.
Oh, Marcus Bontempelli.
Yeah, top. It's been fantastic.
No Nick Daicos.
No,
that's fair enough.
No. Charlie Curnow, number 2. Petrarca 3. Butters and Errol Goulden has snuck his way into the top 5. He's been sensational for Sydney.
The Errol Goulden slipper.
What a player.
He just about locked an All-Australian spot now.
Honestly, one of, if not the best kick in the competition. And the most penetrating kick of the ball.
So him or Braden Campbell, kicking wise?
Oh, Goulden all the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I fancy Braden Campbell. He's
Goulden all the way.
Both left footers, mate.
Goulden.
Bit like you, Paul.
And yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Lefties do it better, mate.
I can't kick.
Maybe not politically, but... Leave that for another day.
That is actually quite funny. Almost as good as that guy on Twitter that's a comedian.
Open up a can of worms there.
Anyway, well, that's a good one. Okay, so I'll give you my top players. Marcus Bontempelli is now, even prior to Nick Daicos getting injured the last 2 weeks, Marcus Bontempelli is the best player in the comp.
Smooth mover.
Christian
what he is.
Petrarca is number 2. Nick Daicos is number 3. I still think it's going to be a tragedy if he doesn't. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't want to speak about it too much. Toby Green, number 4. And number 5, I tossed up between Errol Gould and I've landed on Max Gawn. I just think
I like it.
I think Max Gawn in the last 4 or 5 weeks, taken me a while to sort of acclimatise to putting him there, that big fella. But
there's so many good players in the comp. I
agree.
There's so many players that you could put. I could have put Gawn in. I had Toby Green in there at one stage.
Toby Green's in there for me.
Cherry in there has been fantastic.
The reality is, all 5 players in on your list and on mine, I expect to be all Australian. That's the reality. Like,
yes, actually, that's a fair point.
You know, me and Paul Taylor haven't raised the topic yet, but we will in the upcoming weeks regarding the all Australian team.
We're going to should do that.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
We will.
Yeah,
We're also going to create.
Good idea.
We're going to create a trade talk. Sort of a thing.
Whispers.
Yeah, we all get
Weekend
whispers.
whispers.
Everyone's got mail these
Weekend
days.
whispers.
And but yeah, look, Max Gawn number 5. Just quickly before we go on to our round 23 preview.
Yes.
Round 22 preview,
Yes.
sorry. I want to make a shout out to a Carlton fan that you're well aware of.
Oh, yes.
I bumped into him halftime of the Carlton and Collingwood game with Daniel Forday, a good friend of ours from school.
Yes.
But Lindsay Tadaro Jr.
He's active on Twitter, very active on Twitter.
So you know how you and I have these discussions about a certain individual. Let's just Marcus Mancuso missing a few chromosomes. He's not playing with a full deck. No, we're taking the piss.
He is, but he's not.
He's sick. So you know how I feel about Marcus.
We love Marcus.
We love Marcus to bits.
Dearly.
Lindsay Tadaro Jr., I'm telling you, when I saw him, I want to give him a shout out because I know he watches the show. And he came up to me with Danny goes, and he recognised me, and he goes, "You're Paul's friend, and you're on the Weekend Grill, etc." This guy's got problems. So to put it to put it simply, this Lindsay.
Good problems though.
No, we mean it in a. We don't say. I'm not saying it in a sinister way.
He loves the Twitter.
He loves Twitter and he loves his Carlton Football Club. I was quick to remind him that he had serious issues.
Did he embrace that though?
Yeah, he said it's completely normal. It's normality for him. Mate, at the Carlton Collingwood game, just quickly before we move on, him and Daniel Forday were waving people like. Waving.
Out of the ground.
I thought they were going to get bashed. I thought they were going to get jumped.
They may very well
Anyway,
have.
it was quite funny, but Lindsay...
I was actually told, funny you say that, I was told by a worker, a good friend of mine at work, that I and the rest of the Carlton fan base are unhinged. Would that be a fair enough... would that be a descript word?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Do you think it's fair?
You know when you have that, you know when you get a survey and you say strongly disagree, maybe, or like
strongly agree.
Strongly agree.
Yeah, fair
is
call.
the tick.
But yeah, look, shout out to all the Carlton fans and all fans of all teams. But yeah, Lindsay and Daniel Forday. Lindsay's sick. He needs help.
Yeah,
He's
he does.
in desperate need of help. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll go to our round 22 preview.
What a tough round. My goodness.
Friday
me.
night, MCG.
If I wasn't losing my hair already.
Collingwood, Geelong. Who you giving us, Paul? How do you think the game's going to go?
Ooh, how do I think this one's going to go? That is a very, very good question. The
market's reflecting it's going to be a lot closer.
You know what? My only little concern about Collingwood is that they try to force the issue a little bit too much. Because sometimes when you get in that little form dip, you can try too hard. That's my only little concern. I think Collingwood will win.
Yep.
But it's going to be very, 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 very tight.
I think, okay.
Very, very, very tight.
Geelong will be winning the game.
Okay.
Which consequently means
there it is.
That Collingwood's losing 3 in a row. And this is, listen, you know my admiration for Collingwood as a team. Paul Taylor, who's going to be there next week, he's going to go, between you and David King, you blokes jumped off us. No, Mr. Paul Italiano.
Sounds like him as well.
The harsh reality is, mate, there's a team that's playing for a top 8 spot.
Yes.
And you guys are currently struggling for form. And you're missing 2 of your most important player. One of them happens to be arguably the best in the comp. So let me reiterate to you, it's not that I'm jumping off Collingwood. Circumstances would tell me this week that Geelong win the game.
That's a fair enough assessment.
North Melbourne, Essendon.
Bombers. With no confidence whatsoever.
North are this can't be right.
Bombers are $1.29?
Is that ridiculous? Come on.
What a North? $3.70?
$3.60?
Yeah. No value either way.
I
Maybe
haven't-
value the Bombers.
I haven't
but,
looked in depth. This is not one of the games that I have dived into. but
yeah, Bombers.
What do you reckon?
Bombers, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Roos give them another scare.
that's a short price for North.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No firm opinion for me here, but I'm
No?
I circle.
Can't
the
give
Bombers.
us something for the viewers at home.
No.
I'll ask you at the
It's a
end.
difficult game.
Yeah, no, it's fair
It's a
enough.
difficult round.
Well, you feel that was hard. What about the next game here? So you're just quickly. You're going
Bombers.
Essendon.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Bombers too.
Yep.
Sydney versus Gold Coast, same time at the SCG, 10th v 14th. Big game for Sydney in the
It is.
context, as we know.
Yep. Swans, but they're a poison price.
Do you think they should be longer than $1.35?
Yeah.
What price do you think they should be?
I think the Suns were okay against Adelaide. No, it's
Conversely, what price would you have the Suns?
270.
Which would mean you'd have Sydney at about $1.45.
About that. I don't think the gap between Gold Coast and Sydney is that much. I don't know.
Fair.
I could be wrong.
I'm going to go the Swans.
Yeah, I've
it's
tipped the
not-
Swans. I've tipped
Yeah.
the Swans. It was from a betting perspective.
Yeah.
I don't think the Swans are a proposition.
Fair call. Okay.
Yeah.
Brisbane versus Adelaide. This is the game we were mentioning earlier. Brisbane are coming off that long road trip, scraped over the line against Freeman. Although I do think that win had a lot of merit to it.
It did.
And the Crows are playing like the reality is if Adelaide can win this game, they are playing finals. So, Paul, give it to me.
I'm
Who's
tipping
winning
Adelaide
the game?
in an upset here.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
Big call. Okay.
Yeah. Adelaide have got this knack about them of they did it against Melbourne, almost pinched that game on the road.
Can Isaac Rankin come back this week? Is he in contention? We're doing this on a Tuesday morning, so we're a bit light.
It looked
for
pretty bad.
news.
It looked pretty bad to me. He looked in all sorts when he came off. I don't think so, but
Okay.
no, I like what the Crows did against Gold Coast. I like what they did against Melbourne a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And they can pinch this one against the Lions.
Fair call. I'm going to stick
Yeah.
with Brisbane.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Lions, but at the
Yep.
same time, I tend to agree with you. I think what you said's fair, and it's right. The Adelaide are not out of the game completely.
Yep.
Saturday night, the big one, game of the round. There'll be 65,000 there minimum. It's fifth versus second. Carlton versus Melbourne. It's fair to say these two teams currently are the two most informed
two
teams
most
in the comp.
informed
So
team, yep.
we're not. This is not Carlton supporters saying
Carlton
it.
has
We're not dressing up the numbers.
No.
It's the reality is at the moment the two most informed teams
Yep.
are Carlton and Melbourne. Paul.
Carlton has the longest active winning streak in the league at the moment.
Yep.
If Sam Walsh plays, Carlton will win. If he doesn't play, I think they will lose a very, 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 very close one. Very, very close one. But it won't be a disheartening thing.
So Petty comes out.
Yep.
Uh,
Very interesting. Now,
Clary Oliver probably comes in.
There are 4 players that I wanted to make mention of in this game for the Blues who
Stage is
have
yours,
been
go.
integral.
The camera's on you, mate.
It is on me.
It's not on me.
There are 4 players that I wanted to make mention of. I've got them down here. I didn't write them down, but I've got them on the text we exchanged. Now, number 1 is Hollands, Ollie Hollands. Melbourne's wings destroyed Carlton's wingers last time they played each other. One, probably because Lockie O'Brien was on the other wing, so that probably makes sense.
Wasn't he your love child?
Was. To Mark Pitternet, who can physically batter, well, not batter Gawn, but he can get into Gawn and allow TDK to go to work. Tom de Koning, that is. Jack Martin, who's been pivotal to Carlton's half-forward line and renaissance and revival during this part of the 7-game win streak. His defensive application in the front half is why Carlton is doing what it's doing at the moment. He's got that short hit up as well, which he can find. He's got an eye for goal, we know that, and he's a tough bugger as well. And the other one, who I think is integral to Carlton's, I know he is, and everyone knows he is, and Carlton knows he is George Hewitt. He's massive to how Carlton play. When he goes well, Carlton goes well, and if they can somehow, some way get those blokes into the game, which they will, there's every chance Carlton can win. But I think, yeah, if Walsh plays, Carlton will win. Put it that way.
Carlton will win the game regardless. You heard it first.
There you go. Simple as that. That's it.
Don't know.
That's a
I
huge
mean,
game.
no, I'm not trying to sound
All right, all right,
I'm not trying
so-
to sound too cocky. I think
No.
Carlton will win the game.
No. Okay, so out of this game, right?
Yep.
Could this be the grand final rehearsal? Maybe.
Paul, we're going to get a...
That's okay.
This is going to create a lot of...
Oh, well, might. I don't know. I'm just raising the question.
Can it be the grand final rehearsal? Yes, potentially. I'm just going to put it out there. This is not an overconfident can't plays. I'm going on what I see. I'm going on what the numbers tell me, not just my eye, and not just my love for this club.
Yep. Because the eye can lie,
and I understand the eye test always lie.
Correct.
The optics sometimes can lie, and I understand, and everyone knows that you're one of the biggest Carlton supporters in the whole country. But the reality is, if we're assessing the game as a neutral and we're assessing this team and how they're going to...
That's what I've done.
Okay, the excuses came when they were winning against these certain teams. They've knocked off St Kilda, which was a challenge. They've knocked off the top team. They knocked off the team that was second on the ladder at the time. If they can knock off the team that's second on the ladder currently...
Love raising the bar.
I don't understand how people can refute the fact that they have the potential to go all the way.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, if Carlton win this game, I think they can go all the way, irrespective if they lose it either, because I think it is set up for a team that can win outside the top four. Is it a grand final rehearsal? That's a good question. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
It's not the worst shout. It's not the worst shout.
They may not finish outside the top four.
Oh, Melbourne.
Things have happened. No, Carlton.
Fair enough.
We don't know yet.
All right, so you're going to go Melbourne on the contingency that Sam Walsh doesn't play.
Correct.
I have something tells me that there might be some team news. I don't know. I get this just a
positive team news.
No, it's positive for Carlton.
Okay,
as in it could be someone not playing for Melbourne or someone playing for Carlton. I don't know.
Well, Clayton Oliver has been confirmed by Simon Goodwin, but we know
they
coaches
confirmed him 6 weeks ago too.
Yes, exactly.
So you're going to go. Sorry to get one.
Blues on the proviso. Sam Walsh plays. But
I'm going
Carlton.
Yeah, go on.
If Clayton Oliver doesn't play for Melbourne,
Chips in Blues.
Yes. So those are the two things.
I'm chips in Blues anyway as it is.
Okay, there you go.
Up the fucking baggers. West Coast versus Fremantle in the Western Derby. Who we got here? 18th versus Fremantle are not fifth. Like I know they're sitting 15th. They're not playing like a 15th place team. What do you think?
Who cares? Fremantle.
Give us something, mate. Otherwise, the guy on YouTube's going to be in tears, mate. Please, give us something.
I'll say, Fremantle. Yeah, Fremantle. Yeah. 10 goals, Fremantle.
10?
Yeah.
Well, take them at the line.
What's the line?
I don't know, but just looking at the odds, it's $1.24 to $4.
Oh, Fremantle kill them.
I'd say, judging off that, it's probably about 25.5.
Yeah, no? West Coast had their competitive game.
It'd be 28.5. Judging, I can't be bothered.
West
going
Coast
on
had their competitive game. They had it against the.
So you're saying Fremantle you're expecting 10?
Yeah. Eagles
if that's the case, mate, the Fremantle at the line at the handicap in the moment, seems like a luxury. Yeah. Sunday, UTAS Stadium, Launceston, Hawthorn versus Bulldogs. This is a tricky game, and the market reflects it. Tell us, Paul.
Dogs just.
I'm going to say
just.
Hawthorn being the young team may have had their,
they got their eggs in a row.
They had their
Collingwood.
Christmas last week, although they did play well. I'm not saying they're going to perform bad this week. But
not that you can't have a great Boxing Day.
I think this means more for the Dogs. The Bulldogs have to win this
Completely
game.
Agree.
They have to win this game. I'm going to go Bulldogs too. St Kilda, Richmond, 320 Marvel Stadium. My God. This is season over if St Kilda don't win, by the way.
Tiggies with the ins that are coming back in. Tiggies.
Wow.
Yep.
Would you be surprised if I told you that St Kilda are favourites?
No.
You're not surprised?
No. But I think Richmond will start favourite.
Is it a Marvel thing?
Yeah, maybe. I don't think the Marvel thing will come in.
Do you think they're going to flip?
Yeah. I think the Tigers will start favourite. With the
Richmond are even money and St Kilda are 4 to 5.
Yep.
5 to 4.
I think it'll be a flip. Yep.
$1.80.
Yep.
Do you think they start at $1.90?
About that.
That's a coin flip.
Yep. I think Richmond will win.
Mate, I'm going to go St Kilda. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I'm going to go St Kilda.
Yeah, well, they played the informed team of the comp last week.
They did. Maybe this week they'll focus on actually winning a game as opposed to playing to try and not lose.
That could very well play into the Tigers' hands.
Port Adelaide GWS, Paul Sebastiani, last game of the round.
Port Adelaide will win.
4th v 8. So Port Adelaide's currently on a 4-game losing streak?
Yep.
Is that right?
And that'll be snapped.
Really?
Yep.
So that means GWS can lose 2 in a row. That puts them in serious trouble. Okay. Wow.
They can still make the 8.
It's hard to see. I'm not disregarding GWS.
They'll lose to Carlton.
And still make the 8.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez. You're cutting it thin there, man.
Yeah, no, they still can.
So you're telling me...
It's so, even if you drop a game, it's so...
Even, I understand.
Even if you do...
So my question to you is, right, so be that as it may.
Yes.
They're currently sitting 8th at the moment. You're saying that they only require 4 points out of their last 3 games to make the 8.
I think so. I think that's
Wow.
what will happen. Because
call.
teams around them
Yeah.
will drop.
Will drop, yeah, suppose.
That's
Fair.
what I think will happen anyway.
All right. Beautiful. That wraps up. So let me just quickly run through it again. Go. Give us your
So
9. Give us
I'm-
your 9 for 9 out of 9 for
Let's
this week,
zip
Paul.
through them. Pies, Swans, Bombers, Crows in an upset. If Walsh plays for the Blues, they'll win. If Clayton Oliver doesn't play for the Demons, Carlton will win. But if Walsh doesn't play and Clayton Oliver does play, Melbourne will win in a
I
very,
don't think
very
Clary's a
close one.
certainty, mate. And I don't care. He's going to be rusty.
You don't trust Simon Goodwin,
He's
do you?
played, mate, he's missed 13
You're saying
weeks.
you don't trust Simon Goodwin?
Please, mate. They're bullshit artists, Paul. I don't need to discuss. You already know this, mate. They're full of shit, these guys. Come on.
Facetiously asked that.
Come on,
and you
mate.
facetiously answered. Well played. Dockers, Dogs, Tigers, and Power. In a very, very difficult round. If anyone can tip 9 in this round, give
you.
me the Tats Lotto numbers.
It's you. If anyone
reckon?
can tip 9.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I think I've tipped 9. Have I tipped 9 once this year? Maybe once.
Yeah.
Once or twice. Yeah.
Don't know.
Probably
Anyway,
$1.10 favourites.
Paul Sebastiani, thank you for coming on.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
What were your final tips?
Oh, did you really care?
Yeah, mate. Of course. If I did mine, you got to do yours.
I'm not a judge.
Come on, mate. It doesn't matter. Who cares? You
Geelong,
do your tips.
Geelong, Essendon, Sydney, Brisbane, Carlton, Fremantle, Western Bulldogs, St Kilda, Port Adelaide.
You got a bet of the round?
Yeah, I do. Geelong Friday night. You? And they're only going to firm. So what are you? So looking at it now, Paul.
I will say, you know what I'll say? Bet of the round, I will say 2. Crows at the line.
Do you take them at the plus?
Yep.
Yep.
Crows at the plus. Fremantle at the negative.
I like the Fremantle negative one.
There you go.
Geelong are 2, depending on where you bet, roughly $2.15.
And have been backed.
I can tell you now, you're suggesting that the St Kilda game might start at coin flip.
Mm.
Geelong could start closer to
Agree.
$1.95.
Yep.
Depending on where you bet.
They probably
The
will.
money will come for Geelong. Trust me. You
Yep.
heard it first. I know how these things work.
You actually do know how these
They'll
things
back
work.
Geelong.
You do know how these things work.
All right. Paul, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. It's good to see you in such a familiar face. Thank you to everyone at home for watching. And
Thank
if you
you.
want to see Paul and more of what he does, Jumper Punch, Blue Abroad, SEN. He does it all. He's the man.
Be sure.
We'll have Paul Taliano back next week. Be good to have him back. But for now, thank you, Paul.
Pleasure.
Sebastiani.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thanks, guys.